Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening. It was evident that Nicole was not really interested to get to know how Snow and Harvey's relationship was progressing. Instead, she was interested to know about their collaboration together. Nicole understood clearly that if Dillcorp took the project, the head office would more or less receive some impact. I suspect that Dillcorp eyed this project purposely, knowing that if I were to participate too, they won't have much luck securing this opportunity. Okay, that's enough for today. Let's get back to work, said Nicole, feeling refreshed after their mini gossip session. Lulu hesitated for a while before speaking up in a muffled voice. Nicole, what would you do if you were to meet Harvey? Should this be considered an old friend reunion, or an old nemesis gathering? Nicole thought to herself. What can I do? Hit him. Nicole retorted. If I can't hit him, then what's the point? I'll treat him like a stranger if all else fails. Lulu busted out in laughter. Well, that's an idea. I'll help you beat him up. Lulu knew Nicole was joking. There was no way Nicole would hit Harvey unless he asked for it by provoking her. Lulu was proud that she had received such big news to share with Nicole. Lulu looked satisfied with her job well done. Nicole shook her head and chuckled. This girl is really something. Nicole went back to her desk and started going through her files. Meanwhile, at Dillcorp, Snow sat at her desk going through the project folder in her hands. The expression on her face exposed her excitement. I've finally gotten my hands on this project. Now, I'll finally have the chance to get closer to Harvey. If it weren't for that girl Nicole that changed everything and took what belonged to me. Snow gritted her teeth. She was dead set on winning Harvey's heart. Once I become his wife, I'll no longer be looked down on by everyone else. I'll make Nicole pay for everything that she's done to me. An assistant of Snow's entered the room and informed, Ms. Riddle, the project partner has sent someone over for the meeting. Snow's eyes lit up. She stood up immediately and said, let him in. Yes, Ms. Riddle. The assistant turned around to let the guest in. Soon after, a young and beautiful-looking woman stepped in the room. Snow could not help but frown. Who are you? I'm Mr. Ellison's secretary. I'm here to discuss the project details with you. She placed a piece of document onto the table and proudly said, Mr. Ellison had made some minor changes to the project plans. This is the revised version. Mr. Ellison hopes that we can proceed with this version as soon as possible. Where's Harvey? Snow refused to accept that Harvey had not gone to her personally. Mr. Ellison's secretary gave Snow a side eye and said, please, doing your part is sufficient for us. The affairs of Mr. Ellison aren't something for you to question about. After she finished speaking, she turned around and walked away in swaying strides. Snow fumed. She gritted her teeth as she glared at the back of the secretary's head, feeling humiliated. How dare a low-life secretary treat me like this? When I become your boss's wife, the first thing I'll do is to fire you. Ms. Riddle, this project is very important to our company. We should quickly plan and align on this and revert it back to them as soon as possible. Snow's assistant urged after noticing that Snow had been silent for a while. I know, Snow said with a tone of disapproval. This project was equally important to Snow. It was her last shot to get closer to Harvey. Snow frowned as she opened the revised plans. Then, she tossed the document at her assistant. Take care of this according to their requirements. Yes, Ms. Riddle, said the assistant, taking the file. Snow sulked. He didn't come here personally. I have to find a way to meet him in person. Otherwise, my chances will be gone. The sun was setting in the horizon when Jared arrived at Riddle Corporation to pick Nicole up. Nicole just happened to step out of the office then. Jared got out of the car and opened the door for Nicole. You're here. Seeing him, Nicole started walking towards Jared with a smile on her face. Nicole, I'll get going now, Lulu said with a smile. She gave them a teasing look and ran off. Nicole rolled her eyes at Lulu and shouted, "Don't you worry. Spencer will pick you up later. Don't make fun of me." After Lulu left, Nicole turned around and followed Jared into the car. "I have to go to the hospital first," she said. Jared nodded and replied, "Sure." Jared knew how much Nicole wanted to visit Samuel. Soon, they both arrived at the hospital. Samuel was unable to move by himself, but he was allowed to move around using a wheelchair. At that time, Samuel was having dinner with June in his hospital room. Both of them were surprised to see Nicole and Jared walk in. "What brings you guys here?" "To see you, of course." Nicole placed the fruit basket she was holding down and noted, "You look much better now." "Yeah, I think I'll be able to get discharged in a few days' time," said Samuel, smiling. "That's great news. Mom will be relieved when she hears this. Living in the hospital feels like things are serious. I guess Mom would only be relieved when I'm able to go home," thought Samuel. "I'll get discharged as soon as possible. Tell her not to worry so much about me," Samuel said without hesitation. He knew that he would only worry his family by staying too long in the hospital. On top of that, June had been staying by his side taking care of him. "Once I get discharged, June won't have to take care of me this much and she'll be able to get some rest." June glanced at Samuel before biting her lip, suddenly falling silent. Nicole noticed June's expression. She furrowed her eyebrows, before something flashed in her eyes as if she understood something. "It's great to be able to leave the hospital, but you would still need someone to take care of you when you're home. Who will take care of you then?" Nicole asked suggestively. "Don't we have Alfred at home? I don't need anyone to specially take care of me when I'm at home. I can handle it myself," said Samuel, without much thought. "The doctor specifically said that you should rest and take care of your injury for the next 3 months." Nicole shot Samuel a look, but he seemed to not catch her meaning, giving her a blank expression. Such a good opportunity for him. How can he not grab this opportunity? Can't he see that June is obviously worried sick about him and all that she wants to do is to take care of him? If June takes this opportunity to take care of Samuel, I bet by the end of it all, they'd get together and then marriage would soon be on the table. This is a foolproof plan, but this idiot is too oblivious. "I'll just go back home and lay around." Samuel had no intention of having a caretaker, and still insisted he did not need one. Nicole was fuming in frustration, to the point of giving up on helping him. "He can live alone in old age for all I care. I've helped him enough. He's too dense." "Don't worry about it, Nicole. I can take care of him," June said, finally speaking up. June was over the moon when she heard that Samuel was going to get discharged soon. She was happy for him, but at the same time she worried about him. If no one can take care of Samuel by then, knowing his restless personality, he's bound to get into trouble if anything were to happen, she thought. "I'm sorry we have to trouble you with babysitting him," said Nicole. She did not have high hopes for Samuel, so she agreed on his behalf. "But if she has to take care of me, where will she stay?" Samuel frowned, feeling a little discomfort. "This is what I was afraid of." Tension in the air. Nicole mentally cussed out Samuel in her mind. Why is he so stupid? Why can't he just agree, instead of asking questions like these? June has a 2-bedroom apartment. Why is he concerned about this? Knowing the current situation at the Riddles, June answered after pondering a while, "Then we can stay at my place." "I think that's fine with us," Nicole agreed, knowing that June was a trustworthy person. Mentally, she let out a huge sigh of relief. Thank goodness we have one with brains. I don't know how he does it, having her stick by his side. They must be destined. After staying with Samuel and June for a while, Nicole and Jared left the hospital, got in the car, and headed towards the Riddle residence. "You know they can and could stay at the Riddle residence. We can always go back to our place," Jared said, looking at Nicole. His eyes darkened a little. Ever since Nicole had returned, they had been living at the Riddle residence ever since. Jared had been wanting to have some alone time with Nicole and his little family. Nicole shook her head. This matter is between Nolan and Lana, who have yet to get accustomed to this place. If they want to live with us, then if they get seen, it would be problematic for all of us. It was impossible for Nicole to leave the twins at the Riddle residence alone. They had to live with Nicole. Jared raised his eyebrow subtly, a smile flashing across his face. She didn't refuse when I said we ought to return to living at our place. She only contemplated our kids as a factor, which means that she's already accepted us living together. Once it's done, we can move back in at our own place, said Jared hopefully with a subtle smile. Nicole's cheeks flushed red as she rolled her eyes at Jared. Who wants to go back with you? Go by yourself. Of course, by right, my wife should be coming back with me, Jared said as he held Nicole tightly in an embrace, not wanting to let her go. Nicole tried to break free from his grasp but failed. She suddenly stopped struggling and looked up at Jared. Didn't you say that? It'll be after the matter is done? Why are you so prepared for it? The thought of Nolan and Lana being exposed to the public had made Nicole panic. Nicole had assigned Tia to help send and pick up the kids from school, to ensure that no one picks up the idea that Nicole and Jared had children. Ever since then, Nicole had never appeared at the kindergarten again as she waited for the matter to die down. She had to go through a lot of trouble to ensure that nobody would pay any attention to both Nolan and Lana. As a mother, it was heart-wrenching for her to keep her kids a secret. Being unable to send and pick her kids up from school had already taken a toll on her. Additionally, Jared's input earlier had made her think that Jared was done living in isolation from the public eye. Jared's lips twitched slightly. You'll know very soon. Nicole was surprised. Why are you being so mysterious? What exactly are you planning? This is a little frustrating to deal with. What's he planning to do? Jared softly pinched her arm and said in a gentle voice, It's a surprise, so I can't tell you. Nicole scoffed, shooting Jared a blank look. Nicole was sure that Jared would not joke about the kids. Thus she was more curious than worried. Nicole did not pursue an answer, knowing that it would go nowhere. Soon, 3 days went by in a blink of an eye. In the midst of the hustle, everything still seemed normal and progressed slowly. As usual, the whole city was bustling, and the people on the streets were all rushing to their own destinations. Jared sent Nicole to the Riddle Corporation as per routine. Just as Nicole got out of the car, Lawrence's car appeared and came to a halt beside them. Nicole looked at Lawrence with shock. Leo, what are you doing here? Is something going on? It was supposed to be working hours, so why would Lawrence appear there at that moment? I'm here to see you. Lawrence's tone was calm, as if there was nothing going on. But when he turned his gaze to Jared, it was dark. In fact, Lawrence was actually in a bad mood. So, he wanted to find a place and take a breather. But the only place he could go was where Nicole was. Let's head up then. Nicole did not give it much thought and invited Lawrence to her office. Then, she turned back to Jared and said, I'll head up now. Bye. I'll pick you up when you're done, Jared reminded gently. Then, he turned his gaze to Lawrence, and it turned cold in an instant. After glancing at Lawrence, Jared ordered Max, let's go. All right. Max started the car engine and left. Seeing that the car had left, Nicole gestured to Lawrence. Let's go. However, she noticed that Lawrence's gaze was fixed on Jared's car. He did not even react when Nicole called out to him. Leo. Nicole raised her voice a little. Lawrence came back to his senses and smiled. Let's go. After that, he walked into the office building first, acting as if he was not the one who was staring intently at Jared. In a daze, Nicole blinked. Why does it feel like something's off? But looking at Lawrence, it seems like everything's fine. Seeing Lawrence enter the building, Nicole put the thought away and followed after him. Soon, both of them had reached the top floor. Coincidentally, they bumped into Sean and Steve there. Steve, Sean, Nicole greeted them. Both of them looked at Nicole. Then, they turned their gaze to Lawrence and questioned, Do we have any recent partnership to discuss with Genesis Group? No. Leo was just around the block and thought of visiting, Nicole explained, smiling. Oh, we're headed for our meeting then. Steve glanced at Lawrence. Then, he walked off with Sean. Nicole frowned a little as she stared at Sean and Steve, who were leaving. Why do I feel like something's not right with them? Am I holding you up? Lawrence questioned doubtfully. No, that meeting doesn't involve me. Nicole came back to her senses and invited Lawrence into her office. The secretary brought in their coffees. Then, Nicole gestured to Lawrence to drink some. You seem to have a liking for coffee since you came back here. Lawrence took a sip and praised Nicole's coffee. I've always loved coffee, but there was none I really loved while I was on the island. Nicole held her coffee cup and sipped on it. She recalled the day when Jared had just caught her. That day, Jared gave her a cup of coffee and mentioned that Nicole's taste buds were still the same. Nicole's eyes softened as she smiled unconsciously. This coffee was specially prepared for her by Jared. In fact, Jared had also mentioned that all the coffees she drank previously were brewed by him. Therefore, Nicole's taste buds had been pampered with the best. How could she take in normal coffee anymore? Hearing Nicole's response, Lawrence narrowed his eyes and a hint of gloom flashed across his eyes. He suddenly recalled Lana mentioning Jared and Nicole getting ready for their wedding. Lawrence felt even more annoyed. He had tried his best to stop Nicole from returning to San Giotto, and all of it failed. And now, they were already in such a situation. Nicole. Lawrence's voice was hoarse. Yes. Noticing that Lawrence was not in a good mood, Nicole raised her eyebrow and looked at him questionably. Did anything happen? Why is he acting weird today? Lawrence smiled and asked casually, I noticed that you've been really close to Jared these days. So, I'm curious if you've recalled anything from the past. Nicole shook her head, feeling shy. No. She definitely did feel closer to Jared recently. Although her memory had not recovered, a lot of things seemed to be less important already. After all, there was no way she could reject Jared if she were to follow her heart's desire. Lawrence felt as if a knife stabbed into his heart. His gaze turned cold briefly. Sure enough, even without her memory, Nicole would still choose Jared. At the end of the day, Lawrence would not be able to gain anything. Lawrence did not want to hear any more stories about the couple, so his eyes turned gloomy as he said, Actually, I'm here to ask for your help. Hearing this, Nicole looked up at Lawrence. Tell me. If there was anything she could do to help him, she would be more than happy to do so. I've taken over a project, but I'm facing some challenges recently. So, I may need some help. I'm not sure if your company could help me. Lawrence spoke with a choke in his throat. What project is this? Nicole became serious. If there was any project that could be this difficult for Lawrence, the problem must be a challenging one. Actually, it's an overseas project. But I've been putting all my attention on Genesis Group, so I had no time to attend to that project. When I realized the problem, the capital source had been cut off. So, I'm in need of an investment partner now, and I don't really have many people who I could trust now. Lawrence looked at Nicole, and his eager gaze seemed to say that Nicole was the only trusted person. Nicole bit her lip and paused for a moment before responding. Well, if you're just looking for investors, I could put some investment through my personal account. In the meantime, you can forget about asking the company to invest. If it was just to help him, Nicole felt that there was no need to use the Riddle Corporation's fund. She could help him on her own accord. When Lawrence successfully resolved this problem, she would not require any dividend. She could just take this as paying back for Lawrence's help towards her in the past. Lawrence narrowed his eyes. His initial intention was to pull the Riddle Corporation in. Nicole smiled playfully. What? You think that I'm not capable of helping you on my own accord? Of course not. Seeing that Nicole had made her decision, Lawrence could only accept it gratefully. All right then. If I can solve this problem, I'll be sure to repay you. There's no need for that. After all, you've helped me a ton in the past. Nicole smiled politely. Lawrence gritted his teeth discreetly. He felt a sting in his heart again. So, the reason why she agreed to help me is just because she wanted to return the favor. Leo, you can ask Ian to contact me directly. I'll get Lulu to transfer the money over, Nicole told Lawrence, without noticing how he felt. Lawrence instantly regained his composure in a split second and replied, "All right." After sitting for a while, Lawrence got up and left. Nicole did not give it much thought and soon shifted her focus to her work. At that moment, Sean and Steve returned from their meeting. "Sean, why do I feel like there's something off with Lawrence?" Steve mumbled with a frown. At the same time, Sean's eyes darkened. "Yes, there's something sinister about him today." Although he still looked the same as before, the gaze from his eyes had left everyone around him feeling perturbed. Why did he look for Nicole? Steve frowned again, worried that Lawrence would harm Nicole. Sean hesitated for a moment, after which he decided, "Let's check on Nicole." That feeling was inexplicable, and the only thing Steve knew was that he felt uneasy about it. The version of Lawrence he had seen today had put him on guard. "Sure." Steve agreed. Naturally, he was willing to do so, as he felt really anxious for Nicole. When the both of them arrived at Nicole's office, Nicole was taken aback. "What's the matter?" They should have concluded their meeting already. And since the both of them came over together, I guess it might be something about the company which requires my decision, she thought. Why was Lawrence here? He came so early in the morning. I don't think he's just here to catch up. Steve replied, laying everything out. "Oh, it's nothing. We were just discussing work-related matters." Nicole briefly responded without telling them that she was going to invest in Lawrence's project. She felt that everything she would fork out would be from personal account and not the company's. She had enough money on her person to pull this off as well. Moreover, she was just doing him a favor. She would not be raking in any profits from it. So, she did not want the boys to think that she had made that decision on pure impulse. At the end of the day, there were things which she would need to find a delicate balance for. After all, she could not just stand idly by while Lawrence was in trouble. She did not want to drag the company in over such a small matter either. If it was something that benefited the Riddle Corporation, she would do it. Otherwise, she would not want to place any additional burdens on the company. The boys could tell that Nicole was quite reserved in her answer, and it did not seem to be an issue of special significance to her. After exchanging glances, they replied, "Good to know that everything's fine." Nicole smiled. "Don't worry, if anything happens, I'll talk to you guys." "It's nothing. Just that, we felt that Lawrence seemed a little odd today. So, we thought of asking you." Steve explained in hopes that Nicole would not think that they were overstepping their boundaries. Hearing this, Nicole furrowed her brows a little. She also felt that there was something off with Lawrence. But after some thought, she surmised that it might just be because his project abroad was not going as well as it should be. Nicole spared herself any further thought and proceeded to reassure Sean and Steve. And after the both of them had left, Nicole continued working again. "Sean, nothing will happen, right?" Steve asked, wanting to clarify with Sean once more. "Nothing will. Have some faith in Nicole." Sean replied calmly, "That's true." Steve nodded, certain of Nicole's capabilities. After gaining some reassurances, Sean and Steve went ahead and continued working respectively. On the other hand, Lawrence had gotten into his car. With narrowed eyes, he leaned back against his seat and said, "It's done. We'll act according to plan." Ian hesitated for a while, but he finally gritted his teeth and replied, "Understood." Although he did not understand why everything had changed once they moved to San Joto, he was certain that Nicole and Lawrence would never return to how they were before. Lawrence looked out of the window, and his gaze became even darker. Jared was really adept at pulling tricks and maneuvers, while Lawrence had been extremely careful and cautious with every move he made. And yet, once Jared had shifted the pieces to his favor, the tides turned. Lawrence even assumed that if he simply allowed Iris to do her job, Jared would only find out about her when he investigates. But and behold, Jared was able to connect the dots, traced it back to Lawrence, and used it as an opportunity to retaliate. Lawrence had poured a lot of effort into the project abroad. If he could not solve this issue, he would suffer major losses. Fortunately for him, he had noticed that something fishy was going on. At present, Lawrence wanted to see if Jared would continue playing the same card, now that Nicole had been dragged into it. In the Johnston Group headquarters, Max followed Jared into the office and with a heavy look on his face, he reported. Lawrence went and met with Ms. Nicole. Could he be scheming something? After all, the outcome of the entire plan was about to come to fruition even before the final step had been executed. Yet, Lawrence could remain calm. A cool and mocking look flashed across Jared's face, and in smug fashion he said, "Inform the bank and order them to control all personal assets under Nicole's name. Every transaction is to be released 3 days later." Max could not help but widen his eyes. "What you're trying to say is that Lawrence met up with Miss Nicole to ask for investment funds." It's obvious that if Lawrence had sought help from Ms. Nicole, she would definitely oblige. But how can I explain this to Ms. Nicole? I can't possibly say that Lawrence is at the receiving end of retaliation after he failed to trick Mr. Johnston, Max thought. A streak of light crossed Jared's eyes. Do you really think he'd be in the mood to catch up with Nicole at such a time? It was just an excuse for him. Lawrence's motive would still be the same. If Miss Nicole really did him a favor. Max's face turned pale, as Jared's plan would definitely be affected. After all, Jared would not ignore her role in this situation. Confidently, Jared said, "I won't give her the opportunity to do so." Although Jared was unsure about how Lawrence had explained his case to Nicole, he knew that she most definitely would trust Lawrence and aid him. The only thing Jared had to do was to stop Nicole in secret. "I'll monitor this issue," Max replied, having understood the seriousness of this issue. "All right." Jared nodded. As long as he could stop Nicole from proceeding, there would not be a chance for Lawrence to yank the rug from under them. It would also be a lesson for Lawrence. Then, Max suggested, "Sir, you can actually force Lawrence to leave San Joto and revoke the right of Genesis Group to remain here." Max thought that this idea would help to settle everything once and for all. Otherwise, Lawrence might just cause more messes for Jared to deal with again in the future. Jared narrowed his eyes. As long as he does not harm Nicole, nothing else matters. He was only concerned that Nicole might feel sad. As for Lawrence's intention to sway Nicole's heart, he would never be capable of doing that. Having understood Jared's intentions right away, Max nodded, "I'll get them to keep their eyes on Lawrence." As the state of affairs had reached such a point, they could only give Lawrence the easy way out. They hoped that after Lawrence had suffered from such a loss, he would learn to be smarter. Lawrence was never a match for Jared. So, it would be best if the former stayed in his lane. "We must get all the dirt on Iris this time round," Jared ordered with a cold glint in his eyes. He could tolerate Lawrence because of Nicole. But he would not spare Iris any mercy. A traitor like her should never be granted clemency. Hearing that, Max replied, "Understood." Seeing that Jared had no other orders, Max turned around and left to begin his work. The entire office fell silent thereafter, with Jared's eyes becoming darker still. Lawrence really would go to the ends of the earth for Nicole. But too bad, I will never give him a chance. Indeed, a secret battle was occurring in the dark, one that Nicole was not aware of. During afternoon break, Nicole and Lulu went to the hospital together. It was the final checkup for Samuel. Once they got the results and verified that everything was fine, Samuel would be discharged. By this time, the results should be out already, so Nicole and Lulu entered and asked, "How are things?" The doctor says that he recovered well, and that he'd be allowed to go home to rest. But he'd have to be careful when he goes back, June said, before she went on to explain everything they should take note of. Seeing how well June had remembered all of the finer details, Nicole teased her, "You've explained it so well, I think you can be a nurse already. But you don't have to tell us, as long as you remember them clearly. After all, you're the one who's going to take care of him." Lulu piled in. June instantly blushed and yelled, "Stop teasing me." The reason as to why she had filled them in was because she wanted everyone to understand Samuel's situation. That way, they would not have to worry about him anymore. Nicole smiled and ceased with the teasing. "Since he can be discharged, let's get ready. I've packed everything up. Once the ride is here, we can leave." June pointed to the bags that had been packed. Seeing that there were no further issues, Nicole said, "Let's go down first." June held onto the wheelchair Samuel was on as she said, "All right, the car is almost here." Initially, she wanted to push Samuel out, but was stopped when he said, "I'll do it myself." "Sit still. Don't move." June glared at Samuel. And as expected, Samuel did not dare to move. Nicole and Lulu glanced at each other and winked. June's authority over him had definitely taken hold. "Oh my! Why is there such a strong scent of love in the air?" Lulu asked, scrunching her face as if she had smelled something unpleasant. Then she walked over, grabbed one of the bags and said, "I should leave now." "Lulu, you and Spencer are even more disgusting than we are," June retorted. "How dare that rascal tease me?" she fumed. However, Lulu had already fled the room, leaving June to stare at the doorway in anger. Nicole patted June's shoulder and said, "We'll head down first. The both of you can take your time." As soon as she had spoken, Nicole carried the remaining bags and left the ward. June could not help but roll her eyes. These two are such typical best friends. "Ignore them, they're just jealous of us," Samuel said in an effort to comfort her. June rolled her eyes in response, this time at Samuel. "What do you mean they're just jealous? They're using this as an opportunity to tease me. Which one of them is not in a loving relationship? Why would they be jealous of us?" June could obviously tell that they were teasing her on purpose. Samuel tugged at June's hands and said, "Are you saying that we're not as loving as they are? Or do you think that I don't love you enough?" "Hey, that was not what I meant." Her cheeks flushed. "What is that supposed to mean then?" Samuel asked again, looking as if he was demanding answers from June. Hurriedly, she replied, "It's not that you don't love me enough. It's not that we're not affectionate either. I'm just not used to being teased." Indeed, June would feel embarrassed when her best friends made fun of her. Samuel held June's hands and smiled, "There's nothing to be shy about. Let them admire us." And once again, she rolled her eyes at Samuel and said, "They don't need to admire us at all. Those two are also in loving relationships. Why should they admire us? Also, I believe we should be low-key about our relationship." "I'll make them admire us," Samuel said meaningfully. "Especially Spencer. I must get married before he does." Unsure of what was going on in Samuel's mind, June took Samuel's words as nothing but a response based on impulse. Then, she pushed him out of the ward. By the time they reached downstairs, their ride had arrived. Spencer and Lulu placed the bags into the car and turned to June and Samuel, "Come on. We're about to leave." After Samuel had been wheeled over, the three of them worked together and pushed Samuel into the car. And after they had placed the ramps away, Nicole and Lulu walked over to their seats and got on. "We'll meet at the apartment." The both of them waved at June and Samuel. "All right." June replied and ordered the driver to begin the journey. Soon, all of them had arrived at June's place. After having considered all of the factors, they decided to let Samuel rest and recover at June's place. So, they had sent him to her apartment immediately upon discharge. When June was done cleaning everything, she turned to Nicole and Lulu. "You girls should stay tonight. We'll have dinner together. Ask Spencer and Jared to join us too. The more the merrier," Samuel suggested. "Sounds good. Samuel has just gotten discharged. We'll take it as a mini celebration of sorts for him. When he fully recovers, we'll go out and have a proper celebration." Lulu happily agreed. After all, it was great news that the hospital had allowed Samuel to be discharged. It was a day everyone should be happy for. Naturally, it was an idea Nicole would not object to, so she agreed, "All right, I'll inform Jared." In that case, I'll let Spencer know, Lulu said, and sent a message to Spencer right away. In the afternoon, the ladies forced Samuel to take a nap, while they got busy chit-chatting in the living room. Seeing that June was skinnier than before, Nicole urged, "Although you've been busy taking care of Samuel, you should take care of yourself too." "I'm still fine. Don't worry," June answered with a smile. Furthermore, her attitude towards certain things had changed after taking care of Samuel for that period of time. That feeling was inexplicable, and if anything, it mirrored an everlasting sense of tranquility. As she thought about it, June felt that her relationship with Samuel had never been this great. Previously, she had a crush on him. Later, they spoke for a span of time and became a couple. All throughout, June was concerned about Samuel's career, and thus, they had kept their relationship on the down low. For the longest time, they never lived together, let alone took care of one another. During this period, June really had the illusion of an ordinary life, Samuel's injuries notwithstanding. It was as if the both of them had been married, and that their lives after marriage were marked by such peace and wholesomeness. A thought flashed across June's mind. Her eyes softened and she unconsciously turned to look towards Samuel's room. "Why? Are you moved? You want to marry him?" Lulu could not help but tease. June's face flushed, and she bit her lips. This was the first time she did not refute Lulu's words. Or perhaps, one should say that she never had that thought in mind before this. But after having spent some time together, she began to have such ideas. "Just get married then," Lulu said, unsmiling and serious. If this is the case, everyone would give them their blessings. Furthermore, Samuel never said that he did not want to get married. On the contrary, it was June who was always worried about interfering with Samuel's career. And that was why they have been keeping their relationship on the down low, she thought. June bit her lip and hesitated before saying, "Let's wait for a few more years." June had mixed feelings about this matter. She felt she needed time to consider everything. "Hey you," Lulu said, wanting to persuade her, but before she could, Nicole stopped her. Turning her attention to Nicole, Lulu's eyes began to fill with doubt, and she wondered why Nicole had stopped her. Nicole shook her head, signaling Lulu not to push the envelope any further. Ultimately, June had to figure this out on her own, and as her friends, they should not interfere with her life. A bit of advice here and there was more than fine, but the final decision should still be in June's hands. Understanding Nicole's intent, Lulu too shook her head and gave up on her attempt to persuade June, as the former was right. In the blink of an eye, work hours were over. The three prepared dinner and waited for Jared and Spencer to arrive. "I'll go check on Samuel," June said and marched towards Samuel's room. At this moment, the doorbell rang, prompting Lulu to make her way to the entrance, saying, "It should be Mr. Johnston and Spencer." "I'll get the door." Opening the door, she found Jared and Spencer outside. Lulu stepped aside and let them in before closing the door. June pushed Samuel out in the wheelchair, and everyone soon gathered around the dining table. What used to be a spacious dining room was now crowded due to the number of people present, but the atmosphere was getting livelier as well. "Come on, cheers to Samuel's discharge from the hospital," Nicole toasted, raising her glass. Lifting their glasses as well, the group then enjoyed the lively atmosphere while they ate and drank. After a few glasses of wine, June shook her head. "I'm done. If I get drunk, there'll be no one to look after Samuel." Indeed, it would be an issue if June got drunk. Lulu then lowered her glass. "Me too. I'll get drunk with a few more drinks." Then stop drinking. Spencer removed her glass of wine and replaced it with a glass of juice as he looked at her face that had flushed a deep shade of red. Nicole was tipsy, and seeing that everyone had laid their drinks down, she followed. "This is the first time I've drank with my friends since I came back." Nicole smiled, enjoying the complete state of relaxation. Ever since she returned to San Giotto, she had spent most of her time under pressure, and it was rare to have a chance to unwind. "There's still plenty of chances," Lulu patted her chest. "You can call me anytime. I'll keep you company till the very end." It was evident that Lulu was already tipsy, but Nicole knew that every word from Lulu was uttered from the depths of her heart. So, she smiled and nodded. You said it. And June too. Once Samuel heals, June will be coming too, Lulu said while pulling June over. In response, June concurred, definitely. Those words made Nicole feel all warm and fuzzy. Although she had not recovered her memories, she knew they were once her best friends, and still were. After a joyful dinner, Jared, Nicole, Spencer, and Lulu bade their farewells and left. Once she had sent them away, June cleaned the dishes up while Samuel watched her in his wheelchair. Seeing June getting busy, he thought she was truly playing the part of a host. Samuel smiled at the sight, his eyes filled with affection. Downstairs, Spencer took Lulu with him as he wanted to send her home. Please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.